The large clock in the landlady's former bedroom, stopped at the hour of her death, suddenly went on. Only in the countdown, the hands moved in the other direction. The clock seemed to be counting backwards rapidly, and suddenly, something clicked in it, and a faint glow appeared at the ends of the hands, which grew brighter and brighter. The hands were spinning like crazy, speeding backwards. Suddenly it ended, a faint glow coming from the clock forming a silhouette. The clock stopped again. Everything stopped. There was someone standing in the corner of the room. I'm still so worried about Ollie. What if she dies? Steph thought aloud. Fema says she won't die, Alice said. I've got a bad feeling, Steph shivered. We don't have the force yet, and what if Anton attacks us? We'll fight back, Alice said confidently. Okay, I'm going to take a shower. Alice left the room, but immediately came back in, her face frightened. Did I see my grandmother there? The girl whispered. Did you fall and hit yourself? Honey, Grandma died. We buried her, Steph said calmly, approaching her sister. It wasn't a dream. I clearly saw her come out of her bedroom. Let's go check it out. They looked around the floor, went into Amalia's bedroom, and of course found no one there. They looked into Olga's bedroom. Fema was sitting by the bed and whispering something. See, there's no one there. Only Fema and the sleeping beauty, said Steph sadly. Why don't we have some tea? I'd like a stronger one, my nerves are shot, muttered Alice, leaving after her sister. Fema also got up and went out. The dining room was gloomy, and even the warm light of candles could not dispel the darkness. Alice suddenly felt creepy in this house. Why are you pale? Suddenly asked Fema, pouring tea. Yes, I thought I saw my grandmother, replied Alice. We checked and found no one. Fema froze at these words and almost spilled the tea. The woman's face took on a strange expression. Have you seen Amalia? Fema asked again. Maybe a ghost? Stephanie suggested. Maybe a ghost, agreed Fema, but she was thinking hard. Grandma couldn't have come back from the world of the dead, could she? We did everything she wrote, Steph said. I don't know why her ghost would show up. No one can come back from there, said Fema. Yes, they can, came a voice from the doorway. At the threshold of the room stood a pale and disheveled Olga. She looked tired and aloof. The sisters rushed to Olga and Fema sat frozen, as if unable to believe her eyes. Olga was laid on the sofa, covered with a plaid. Fema hurried to the kitchen for food, and the sisters asked her what had happened to her. Euphemia returned with a tray full of food. Olga pounced on the food, not even realizing how hungry she really was. I traveled back in time to when Grandma and Fema were still young. Anton was there too. I learned a lot, talked to some people. They showed me the real story. Grandma wasn't as good as we thought, Olga told me, finishing her second plate of food and drinking juice. The fact that Amalia was not an angel is not a secret, and who is an angel? Suddenly interrupted Fema's story. If you know everything, then there is nothing to add. I am amazed only one thing, Olga thoughtfully stretched out, looking at Fema. You have been with her for so many years, so to speak, served faithfully and faithfully. Why? Fema was silent. The sisters did not understand what was going on, because Olga had not had time to tell them anything. She not only took my strength, but she suppressed my will. Like an obedient toy in her hands, I had no strength. Amalia was always cruel, an older woman spoke in a quiet voice. She's the strongest witch, and it's still strange to me that she died so easily. Or she was killed. I think Anton had something to do with it. Anton and I are the same age, you've seen him. What do he and I look like? Girls, let me tell you everything, because I can see from your faces that you don't understand, Olga said. The girl talked for a long time, watching her sisters and Fema. They listened to her attentively, with a share of fear and distrust. And who sent you there? Alice asked her sister a question. I think Anton, or Fema. I don't have that power. But if Anton killed Amalia, he could have taken some of her power. By the way, I know where the power that my grandmother took from Fema and hid. She took it, but she couldn't use it. It was out of her league. So Anton was just avenging his lost love, but he wants to take away our power. It doesn't make sense, Steph said. Or I don't understand something. Fema's strength can be restored, but you just have to know how to do it right. And it won't be easy, Olga said. Still, I don't understand. If Anton loved Fema, then it all happened. Why did he wait so long? Alice raised her voice. Time. It took time, came a voice from the dark corridor. Anton stepped into the room, leaning on his cane. He looked really younger than Fema, but his eyes gave away a man who had lived many years. How did you come in? Exclaimed astonished Steph. There are no closed doors for me, girl, Anton said with a smile. You overheard our conversation. You know that's not the way a well-mannered person does it, Alice replied. I repent, ill-mannered, smirked the man. What can you do, a simple countryman? Well, the exchange of pleasantries will be considered over. Why have you come here? Olga asked sternly. I understand you won't give up your gift, Anton said calmly, looking at the sisters in turn. It's a pity, of course, Olga, you know the truth. You will not get the gift, and if it was not clear to you where to go, I will show you the direction once again, said Alice, smiling. Good, now I will tell you something, and you will decide how to act, said the man, making himself comfortable in the chair. How about some tea? Olga is right. Amalia will return, or rather, I think she has already returned. It is a terrible and powerful magic. With the help of an ancient spell, she left a part of herself in the watch to return at the right moment. I will not hide it. I contributed to her departure, though I suspected it was not that simple. Amalia was too calm. By the way, here's something I can't argue with, is that I still hate her. I've been following her for years while studying dark magic, training and practicing. I do have the power to take the gift from you, but I won't. Right now I'm pretty sure Amalia's back, only it's not really your grandmother anymore, and I'm about to destroy your faith in her love for you. Amalia always loved only herself. She never loved her husband or her children, much less you. The three of you are just vessels for a gift that she has successfully sedated. You have a stronger gift, and besides, your great-grandmother did something else. When you combine your powers, you will receive another gift from your great-grandmother. I don't know what it is. We must unite with you, or we will die. You have no idea what a monster your beloved grandmother has become. We'll get Fima's strength back, and with your help, we'll get back the youth that Amalia stole. The man was silent, looking at those present. Everyone was silent, trying to digest the words of the uninvited guest. Steph stood up and started pacing back and forth. Sit down, Alice said angrily. There's too much information in a short evening, Steph agreed, sitting down on the sofa again. I don't really believe him, at least about the part where he says that he won't harm us, Olga said. And anyway, I'm tired. Time portals take a lot of energy. I've been out for a long time, but I'm tired now. You, Anton, I'll ask you to get out of our house right now. I'm leaving. He stood up. Don't think too long. Time is fleeting, you know. Tick-tock. The man went out into the corridor and seemed to disappear into the darkness. Girls, let's break it up. I'm really tired, Olga continued. Tomorrow we'll discuss everything and talk. Olga went to her room, and the sisters looked at each other in bewilderment. Only Fima remained silent. No one noticed that the front door did not open or close. The clock struck midnight. Okay, let's go to bed, said Alice, yawning, or my skull will crack from so much information. You go, I'll be right back. Good night, Steph said. As soon as Alice left, the girl turned to Fima. You are always silent, or are you hiding something from us? No, I'm not hiding anything, the old woman answered quickly, and left the room. Steph stood pensively in the half-dark room. Something didn't feel right, and thoughts of her grandmother were haunting her. Had the one who had raised them never loved them? The night passed quietly, the house was asleep, the silence broken only by the clock counting down the time. In the morning, right after breakfast, the girls went up to the clock tower. Alice took out a box with a ball from a niche. Today, in the light, it seemed unreal. The lightning in the ball flashed stronger and more often, and the ball itself vibrated. The clock is running, Olga said. I don't remember how I got here. I only remember flashes of light. Calm down, you're safe, we're right here. Steffa put her arm around her sister. They went down to the study and called Fima. When they saw the box and the orb, Fima's face changed. She was clearly frightened. Here is your power and more, Olga said. Great-grandmother said so. And here. Olga took a piece of paper with a spell written on it out of her pocket. Great-grandmother had time to give it to me. It will help to give Fima his strength back, she said. Only we must all three of us use our power, or it won't work. Yeah, I think Anton knew about that, Alice smirked. Let's do it already. The girls quickly learned the words of the spell, lit candles and stood in a circle. Fima held the box in her hands, and the girls began to read the spell. The orb trembled harder. She tried not to let go of the casket. The voices grew louder and stronger, and there were power notes in them. The girls themselves didn't notice anything. They were focused on their force and the gift. The clocks in the house stopped at once, and then the hands began to spin at breakneck speed in different directions. From the outside, it looked as if all the clocks had gone mad. A bright glow was coming from the ball. Bright flashes were flitting right above the girls. The glow was becoming unbearable to the eyes. This light passed from the balloon to Fima. She closed her eyes and as if absorbed this glow. There was a loud pop and a sharp smell of ozone, as happens in a thunderstorm. The girls were thrown away from each other, the glow stopped, all the clocks in the house stopped and showed different times. Fema lay on the floor with her eyes closed and gave no sign of life. The sisters slowly got up and walked over to Euphemia. It was so quiet that they could hear their hearts beating. "Did we kill her?" Alice whispered. "I don't think so." Steph sat down next to the woman, putting her hand on her chest and taking her arm with the other. The girl closed her eyes as if listening to something. She felt the warmth coming from her hand and smoothly flowing into Fema's lifeless hand. Suddenly the woman exhaled sharply and coughed, opening her eyes. Before the eyes of the amazed girls, Fema's face and hands changed, wrinkles disappeared, her complexion became lighter. In a couple of minutes it was the face of not a young woman, but not an old woman either. Now she looked at most 50 years old. "Wow," only Olga could say. Suddenly, all the doors in the house opened at once and closed with a loud slam. The flames of the candles shuddered and went out as if a draft had swept through the room. The girls fell silent. Almost the perfect family, only missing someone. "Don't you think so?" came a familiar voice from the darkness. Amalia was standing right in front of her granddaughters, smiling victoriously with a grave coldness. The clock started back up again.